I'm Linda Weidner from the Adaptive Athlete, and I'm on Star Talk.
I'm in the studio with Jay Haleen.
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 You are now in the studio with Jay Haleen.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Jay Haleen, and we are back in the studio for another episode of S.T.A.R.V.E. Talk. Super exclusive episode. Listen, you know we don't have any corny guests on here. We always try to find the best stories to bring to you guys and just continue to bring information that you don't know, but more importantly, these testimonies, these stories that people understand what the acronym of S.T.A.R.V.E. means, that stand tall and reclaim victory every day. And we make sure that we have somebody on here to talk to that understands that and actually living by that particular testimony. So this young lady is no exception. The lovely and talented Miss Linda Weidner. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate you having me.
No problem. No problem. Listen, what you guys are doing, you know, touched my heart. From the time we met, we talked about your business but more so your testimony, you know, because a lot of times today people aren't starting businesses to solve problems. They're starting businesses to, of course, make money, or they're scared or afraid of the big bad boss man. They don't want a job, things of that nature. So I'm not going to mess it up. I'm going to allow you to talk about, you know, who you are and why did you start the Adaptive Athlete?
Well, I am the parent of a mother of a child with autism. He's not a child any longer. He's now 22, but it's funny you talk about people going to jobs or not wanting to work for the boss and that kind of thing. What I do is 24/7. Like any parent with a parent of a child with special needs, you know, it's every second of the day. And through his life journey, it's become very relevant for him to do activities. He's very high strung. He has a lot of energy. He likes to blow off steam. If we don't do things where he can be active, everybody's life becomes more difficult. And over the past few years, it's been a struggle trying to find things that are appropriate and accepting of him and his disabilities. And I've driven him all over the country, or the United States, trying to find places for him to go and things that are acceptable. And throughout the 22 years, I've realized nobody's going to do anything that is going to work for him. So I started with my husband, our company, the Adaptive Athlete, that is a full fitness facility, fully inclusive for everybody with and without disabilities.
I love it. I love it. It's again, as I said about starting a business with a purpose and starting a business to solve a problem, it's just that simple. We all have issues, and I imagine you can correct me or you can elaborate on this. You understood that it wasn't just you going through this. It had to be other parents that were dealing with this as well.
Oh, 100%. We were on a weekly basis driving him to Orange County, which is about an hour away without traffic from where we are now. And, driving him over there, I'd hear the same stories over and over. We come from this area. We drive this far. I'm so tired. I wish I could go to one stop and, take my child to one place where they can do everything. And, it wasn't just one person I met there. It was 3, 4, hundreds of people over the last 22 years that struggled with the same things I did. And it usually came down to, why can't we just make it easier for everybody? Why isn't there more options out there for us? And this is just a small part of one of the options, but, my company, the big goal is to provide services where it's a one-stop shop and to give parents that break, give their children and the people who live with them the options of getting those services, but also the parents not having to drive everywhere, a one-stop shop, or when the child leaves, the parent leaves, parents rested and the child's worn out and they want to go home and rest.
I understand that. So when you just made the decision, talk about how when you made the decision to go into business and to create the Adaptive Athlete, what was that transition like?
It was huge. I did a lot of courses. I had never been a business owner. I always worked in government and worked for somebody else. I didn't go to school to learn how to be a business person. It was one of those things I just started putting together what I needed and I thought this community needed. And I went to courses through the SBAs. It got a lot of help from them through other business owners. And just, I had it all on paper and thought I thought I had everything that I needed to open a very successful business. And I just remember one day my husband said, "Hey, quit talking about it and do it. We'll
Wow.
do whatever it takes to get this started." So that kind of opened the gates and started with the journey on finding a building, opening the business. We did have a huge hurdle, which the week we were set to start, we finally set a start date of March 17th, 2020.
Wow.
March 13th changed everybody's lives with COVID. So we've had a really rough journey, but I think you'll have to excuse me because I get very emotional when it comes to this, but the journey, the universe, this is something that is needed, and for some reason there was something that just kept driving me forward, and both my husband and I, in realizing this is something that is so, people deserve to have. I'm so sorry.
No, it's
I didn't
okay.
expect this,
It's
but
okay.
people deserve to have what we offer. And there's days when I'm not going to lie, I get frustrated and it's hard. It's not easy being a business person. And we have amazing clients who, on those days when I think, is this possible? Do I want to continue with this? You'll hear a parent come up and thank you and tell you how much this changed their lives, or what this means, what this business and what we do means to their child, or how it has changed their lives. And so that makes me move forward and realize, okay, you got to pull through this, you got to make this happen. So it's been quite a journey, and it has not been an easy one, but it's definitely been worth it.
Yeah, it's one thing I heard you said your husband told you, let's stop talking about it and let's do it. Let's talk about that partnership that you guys have, because people think they just getting married. Oh, this is the love of my life. I'm gonna be with this person. But when you become an entrepreneur, by default, your spouse becomes one as well. So,
Oh yeah.
so what has that been like for you guys, and how you guys been able to work together and still be parents full time, dealing with with your son and making sure that he's having everything he needs to have?
Yeah, it's, people say it takes a village, and
Mm.
it truly does. We also have a daughter who, in the beginning, she said, "I don't want anything to do with this." She's an adult, and she's older than my son, and I never expected her to do it or take it over. But it was funny. I something just happened, and she jumped into the business and is helping right along. Um, but with my husband, it's funny because that's one of the biggest things I tell parents, especially people with children who have a disability. It's not easy with two people or a village to raise a child or a person with disabilities. And a lot of times people lose focus on the marriage and what's important.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we've always done, was made sure that he and I come first, because if that isn't strong, then the rest of it won't be. It will fall apart. And I tell people, there's going to be days that you might not like that person. You might get mad at them. And, we've been married almost 29 years. And yeah, it's not an easy road to go down. But you have to learn how to say please, thank you, and sorry a
I
lot.
love that.
And, there's a lot of times that I'm a very stubborn person. I've always been, and thankfully he realizes that sometimes, and realizes that, okay, just turn around and walk away and then come back, and he's forgiving. And I've learned that through him, because it isn't, you're not always right. Um, and sometimes the fight that you might get into because you think you are, because you have other things on your plate, you're frustrated about things, you have to step back and go, okay, do we need to get this solved? Do we need to go down this road and do it peacefully? Or do we need to get into a fight and fight about what we believe in, that kind of thing? Is it worth it? No, it's not. And, it's funny. My mother-in-law told me something a long time ago. She learned, you don't fight every battle, because the one you really need to win is not going to be won because you fought every battle,
Yeah.
and there's no significance to that one. And it's funny because ever since then there hasn't been any battles that have even been worth fighting.
Shout out to
So,
mom for that. Yeah, shout out
oh
to
my God,
mom for
yeah,
that.
she's an amazing woman. But it's just working together and realizing, you're the reason we have a family is because of the two of us.
Yeah.
And without him, my life wouldn't be what it is today. And I think he'd say the same thing. And, it's just important to make sure that we're strong so that the rest of it will work.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I wanted to put some emphasis on that, and I'm bouncing around a little bit because, that stops. And I put that in my last book. If you don't get the buy-in from your spouse, it can make your business journey hell. And if you guys aren't on the same page, because it's going to be hell anyway, but you rather go through hell with somebody as opposed to, having another enemy that you got to lay in the bed with. So it's a kind of crazy situation. So I wanted to bounce back to finding out that, hey, you about to open up this space, and then now they want everybody to stay in the house for 2 weeks, and then another 2 weeks, and then another 2 weeks. What was that process like for you guys when once you got the news and knowing that everything that you had on your plate?
Well, I'll tell you what, Jay, thank goodness we had already signed a lease.
Okay.
That, because we had never been in business before, everything, it was based on us and who we were. It wasn't on the business. So we took on a lot of responsibility just with that alone. And I have this really bad problem with, I don't see the small picture, which now I've learned you need to start with the small picture, not the huge picture, because instead of starting in something that was 3,500 square feet, whereas probably where I should have started, I went a full 18,000 square feet building, took on a lease that size, the insurance, everything. And that was before even being in business. And I don't think I said this before, but everything that we put in the business, I thought I had this great idea. Everybody's going to want to give me money. I have good credit. It's going to be a no-brainer. Well, we took everything we had in savings, our retirement, everything that we had, and we put it in this business. So I thought, all right, well, this is great. Never taking into an account, nobody could have, that COVID was going to hit.
Yeah.
And then at that time, not only does COVID hit, people aren't at work, things are difficult. Nobody wants to give me money at this, and I'm running low on money. So, but the one good thing, to answer your question, was I had an 18,000 square foot building.
Yes.
So we didn't have to stay in our home. We could go to this building that had nothing in it, but we had a lot of fitness equipment, gymnastics equipment, and plenty of space. So that was the one thing that really helped us, because we had a huge playground that we could go to, and everybody could go to their own rooms, whether it be at home or somebody at the gym or wherever we needed to be, because even though everybody was in lockdown, we could still get our car and drive over there and do that. So we were very fortunate with that part of the whole thing.
Yeah, it's amazing that, nowadays you have a situation of business owners that don't understand what it means to put it all on the line, because you can just go on your computer and start trying to make money, but you put it all on the line. And so that puts you in a special elite class, at least to me, and you probably feel the same way, because I don't like people to talk on individuals like yourself who put it on the line for entrepreneurship and for a goal. And then the fact that you're still on the other side doing it, I mean, that's just amazing. Kudos to you and your team, because that we were called the crazy people 20 years ago. The people who did that type of stuff 20 years ago were called the crazy people. They were saying, oh, entrepreneurship business, you want to leverage your whole life. You guys did it, and you're still here. So that's amazing. That's amazing. Would you change it? Would you do it differently?
Yes, I would do things differently. But I don't, it's funny because I say that, but I don't know. There's a lot of things I would have done differently, but I don't know if it would have been possible to do it differently because uh, you have to have the knowledge to know that you would have done it differently.
Mm-hmm.
I, I often say if I could go back to being, in high school again, I'd do things differently. But if you put that younger person back at high school, would I want to, would it
Yeah,
me doing things differently then change who I am now? Absolutely.
definitely.
And would I want to do that? No, because the knowledge I've gained, and I always tell people it's going to be a hell of a book one day. In my journey, and maybe it'll help somebody else start at a different point, and do things differently then. So it's really hard to say if should I have done things differently? 1000%. I should
Yeah.
have done things differently, but would I have? I don't know.
Yeah, hindsight is always 2020. And we can
Yeah.
always, with the information and knowledge that we have now, know how we could have did it better. But I
Yes.
think it's the passion portion, which is uncontrollable, wouldn't have been the same. When passion is uncontrollable and you're with the absence of trying to be, use common sense at that time. When passion takes over, it's no common sense there for that little bit of time. You're going to make a move because you could have found common sense could have told you every way to not put your retirement up or to leverage your savings or any of that stuff. If you was listening to common sense, you would have never did that. So that's when the passion portion kicked in, and now I think you're living in the discipline portion. And they don't supposed to
Yes.
live together. They are owned by the same person, Linda, but they're not used at the same time. Like
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But that's where you learn, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
I call
You become-
passion your driver's license, and I call discipline your car. Because
Yeah,
you're driving the car
exactly.
all the time, and you have your license with you, but only if you need it, right? It's only because if you have to need it, for your ID or if you get pulled over, anything like that. But you're always driving the car, so you have to be disciplined. You have to do everything you need to do every day. You don't even think about it. But when it's time to pull out that ID, that license is there for you. It is always a short period of time. You got to show to get something, buy something, show it to an officer or show it for some reason. And that's that. And I see that, for a lot of business owners. And they, we go back and I could do this. But I said, would you really? Like, because you will probably find every reason in the world not to do the crazy stuff you did to go into that business, knowing the pain that you went through, knowing the struggle that you went through, the feelings that you feel. Your body wouldn't allow you. Your mind would not allow you to go through that. You wouldn't want to put yourself through that type of pain.
No, waking up at 2 a.m. and not being able to go back to sleep because you're trying to figure out how you're going to pay these employees that I had employees that I committed to that left jobs to come work for me. And, that
Wow.
that was hard because that's one of the biggest things is you think, I listened to one of your podcasts with Tamika yesterday,
Okay.
and she talked about her journey, and that it was amazing to listen to her, because she talked about, she was going through all these things, homelessness, not knowing where to live, not knowing where she was going to live or stay, but yet she kept the business going.
Mhm.
And fortunately, I didn't have that struggle, but still is how I can't let these people, like she said, I can't let these people down. I have to keep going. I've done this. I have to keep driving forward, and doing this. And I think that was a lot of with what the journey I went through as well. It's, these kind of changes, what we would do, and what I would do and what I wouldn't do, and would I change it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I always tell people entrepreneurship is the most selfless thing that you can do. True entrepreneurship. And people don't realize that because now social media is all about how you can make some money. But the core of entrepreneurship, you create a business to solve a problem. And then
Yes.
in solving problems, you're hiring other individuals. So you're creating, jobs. You're making your community better, and this is what you're doing with your business. So Did you face any resistance once you opened your doors? Did the community immediately open up to you, or did it give you any resistance?
One thing I learned, there was resistance. People came in and would argue with me about things that I would think, I'm providing this great service for people. Why are they fighting me? And why is this an issue? And it's funny because the space I created, it's funny because people don't know they don't know what you go through. And what I've realized through this business is they don't need, now I realize in the beginning, it would really upset me because I think they don't know that I'm here all the time. I mean, I'm home maybe 4 hours out of the day, and my husband and I and my family are here, and we're sweating, and they don't know what this building looked like before we opened. They need to see the finished product. They don't realize, I searched, I bought equipment, secondhand equipment, and refurbished it. We cleaned it. We changed the whole building. The product we have now looks like somebody came in with deep pockets and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on it, and that's absolutely not the truth. And so when people would come in and fight with me or disagree with me or give their opinions, it used to make me angry. But then I realized a lot of people who they come in and maybe they're having a bad day or they have a different, it's about them and their journey. It's not about me. So I need to not take it personally and just do what I need to do and get through the day. And the other thing is a lot of people, our community, we serve everyone. We don't
Yeah.
just have services for people with disabilities, but a lot of the people with disabilities, as their children grow up, they're constantly fighting for services. They're constantly fighting to make sure their person has a space in society. So they're fighting and doing all these things. And until we gain their trust and they realize this is a safe place, that happens quite often.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I've realized is you don't know what happened in that person's life 5 seconds before they walk through the door. And that could totally dictate what's about to happen in your space. So
Yeah.
just do what you got to do and move on.
Yeah.
Don't take it personally. So, yeah.
So you said something amazing, that you service everyone. So how has that journey been, being able to everybody to cohabitate and to work together and to be able to service each different demographics at the same time?
It's actually been better than what I had expected it to be. And I think a lot of people realize the hard thing has been just our branding, getting the information out there, what we do. People that think we don't serve people with developmental intellectual disabilities. We just serve people maybe physical disabilities, or we just serve people with disabilities and not people who may not have a disability. So it's been hard to make people understand that, no, we do something for everyone. We're fully inclusive. We have classes for people that may struggle a little more, that aren't ready to integrate into a class with, that doesn't need the extra support and that kind of thing. But we've had people that call, especially parents of younger kids, and we ask them, does your child, we've learned not to ask this because I think it confuses people sometimes. If we ask them, does your child or your the person that's coming in, do they have any type of disability or do they have any special needs? And people say, oh no, my child's fine. They don't have anything like that. And it's weird because we're like, okay, I don't understand. What do you mean they don't have anything like that? I'm just asking, so we know we want everybody to come in and have a positive experience. And if you put them somewhere maybe they're not ready to be, it can really be discouraging, and it can change, a very positive experience for them. And so people get kind of mad they get mad if they think that you're saying there might be something wrong with their person. And so we have told people before that maybe we're not a space for you.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Every place isn't for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But as far when people come through our doors, they know. I mean, I have my son 6'5", and he's a lot of person, and he can come in a place and he'll walk right down the line next to people. He doesn't bump into anybody, but it's funny because in public, a lot of times people kind of shy away from him and look at him like he's an alien. And at our space, people just continue on, and they're okay with that. They're
Yeah.
there for what they need to do, and that people are they're learning to be acceptable. Young kids who may not understand another person that might be different from them are learning, and they ask questions, and we give them answers the best we can. And I think it helps make young kids and everybody better people, because they become more understanding and know that just because somebody might act or look different from you doesn't mean they're different. It doesn't mean you're any better than they are. They just might be a little different than you, and that's okay.
Yeah, and they become inclusive themselves. The kids are,
Yes.
yeah, they become inclusive. And that's great to start it early, because again, all kids play with each other. You put two kids in the sandbox together, they're gonna end up playing around the same age, they're gonna end up playing with each other. It's learned behavior that makes
Yes.
them not want to be around other individuals or mistreat each other. So having that platform and having this environment that you guys set up, I'm sure that's, again, helping the community out, and helping everybody with that situation, especially the development of the next generation.
Oh, 100%, Jay. It's kind of funny because we have kids that you have a child that has autism who may have what we refer to as a STEM, where they talk out loud and say things over and over, and kind of some of them babble, some of them talk out loud, different things, but they can participate in a class with their peers or typical peers without problem. They just speak out loud and people hear them. And we have kids that have been in these classes together for a while now, and kids they're just used to it. It's almost like white noise, or
Yeah.
they don't even they don't have a second thought about it. And then we get somebody new in the class, and like you said, it's learned behavior, or they don't understand. And we've had kids that come in and try to bully, and we have a 100% anti-bullying policy.
Yes.
We will not tolerate it. And we've had other kids who will come in and start making fun of these kids that might be a little different. And the other kids who've been in class with them will stand up to them, and they'll tell these, that's not okay. That's my friend. You can't say that.
Yeah.
He or she is fine. And they'll come to us and tell us, they're saying things. So then it becomes an issue where we have to talk to the child or the parent. And not every parent is okay with that. They don't like to hear things sometimes that maybe their kid is doing things differently. But that's, like I said, it's okay. If you're not okay with that and you don't want to learn along with us, then go, you can go somewhere else where it's better for you.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's not okay. And especially in today's society, it's, the world is constantly changing. And if you're not going to be up to the challenge, then, you're going to have a rough road ahead of you. And that's kind of, sometimes it starts with us.
You're absolutely right. And it's so funny because I made a joke I said, we all learned a lot more about our children during COVID. And, when they had to spend the days at a time that they're supposed to be in school with you, and they're on the computer learning, it wasn't so much the teacher wasn't that bad no more, because you get a chance to see how your babies act during, from 8 to 2. And you're like, oh, you give the kids some grace. I mean, the teachers some grace. You say, okay, you had to deal with that for those 6-7 hours. So,
oh, yeah.
So these parents need to really go back to when you had that baby in there, you were rushing them to get back to a teacher, during that time frame, because it takes a special person. I did a video recently, said teaching is still a calling. This is still a calling. This is not just something you do. This is definitely a calling, because the only way you're going to get through that is having some type of spiritual help, because our babies are special. All of them, they all have their own unique, quirks, and, they're I like what you call it, the persons, they're unique persons, but we got to be set up to like that to be able to deal with them in that space. So I heard you talk about teachers, school. So the transition, because they might be with you for a while and going back to schools in your district. Have you been in conversation with the teachers at the schools or administrators, and they tell you about how the performance of the some of the students are once they work with you guys and go over there? Has there been any good reports?
We've had reports back from parents. we actually have an amazing mom. We do camps as well. And over this past, this has been our third year doing camps, but we had uh, a mother who came in. She had two young boys, and one of them struggles with, I don't really know if it's high functioning autism or if he has a little bit of ADD or more hyperactivity, but he has an older brother. But this mom wanted, professional mom, works a job, a high level um, career that she can't just be away from. But thank God for Zoom and phone calls and what we're doing right now, because she sat in our lobby because her son would have some aggression. He'd get frustrated with his brother and kind of go after his brother a little bit, not after the other kids, but just made it really difficult for other kids to concentrate and that kind of thing. And we were at this point where, we didn't know if he was going to be able to continue because we didn't have the staffing support to support him and the rest of the camps. And so we talked to mom, and she ended up staying in the lobby where she could do her work, but was very quiet. But it made it easy. So if there was an issue, he could spend some time with her where he wasn't leaving the camp, but he was, it was everybody else was able to continue, and he would calm down and she would work with him, and we worked with her as well. And by the end of the camp, there were no issues. She actually got to go into her car, and she refused to leave because she said, just in case there's a problem. So they went through camp, and it was successful because we were able to get him to a place where now he was able to adapt and be, instead of just kicking him out, which more frequently happens now, we were able to work through it with the family and with the children and everybody else there. So everybody else recognized it and saw that, okay, sometimes when you have a difficult situation and remove it, nobody learns from that. Where this, it was, everybody got to see it. They got to see that there was he dealt, everybody dealt with it, and we made it happen, and he got to come back to class. And now I just talked to mom yesterday, and the boys now come to the gym. They're not in camp anymore, but they come to the gym and they participate in classes, and they're doing really well. And mom was telling me so far, the school year has been completely different than any other year. And he hasn't had any episodes. He hasn't had any outbursts, and he's been able to participate with the rest of his peers. So that was a huge, milestone for us. We've also had not just teachers, but with doctors. We have older adults that come to our programs that during COVID, a lot of people gained weight. And for a lot of our clients, especially those with Down syndrome, they have heart issues, and to put weight on, that's terrible for them. And blood pressure and all kinds of things. Well, they've been in our program, and I just had a parent tell me the other day that her son lost 15 pounds, and the doctor couldn't believe it and asked her how she did it. And she was telling him about our facility. And he said, well, I need the name of that because I'm going to refer some more people to them, because he said, I have a lot of clients who could really use things like that. So we get it from both sides now. Yeah.
Was that your greatest testimony? Which one of your greatest testimonies from a parent to coming back to you guys?
There's so many. One of the very first clients we had, it was an adult woman with Down syndrome, and then her mom, and they both came in crying for different reasons because they'd been together so long. They were so unhappy during COVID that there was so many reasons. And they are no longer with us. They moved out of state, but when she left, I think she had lost 25 pounds. She was smiling again. They didn't come in crying anymore. Everybody was happy. And then the story just recently about the two boys. Every day we have a one boy who he was with a personal trainer because he just needed to get that energy out. The parents said the trainer who had been with him referred them to us because this client would become aggressive with the trainer to the point where he'd rip his shirt off when they were training. But the trainer said, I just want to help you guys, but I think this is, in a typical gym setting, it was really hard because you can't have somebody aggressive like that. Because people don't understand it and it scares people, and there's so many different things. Now he comes to us and we've managed to figure out a program that works for him, for the parents, and the parents, I think he comes to us 4 days a week and does Thursdays. He comes to 3 different classes, whether it's a basketball class, he does dance now, and he does fitness, and he hasn't ripped anybody's shirt off. He hasn't done anything bad. He actually smiles. The other day, he told me he wanted to stay with me and didn't want to leave. So, that's in the parents. They're happy now. They don't feel stressed, and they love coming to us. So I can't pick just one out, Jay. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. No. This is amazing. And people need to know that. People need to definitely know that. And so 3 years in now, I know you were facing some challenges with, the community at the time. But now, how are you guys ingratiated into the community? You talked about a doctor's office who wants to refer, or who's referring people to you. We talk about schools. With a business like yours, you got to bring politics into it at this point. How have you guys been able to ingratiate yourselves into the community and be like a staple?
We were a member of the Chamber of Commerce, and through that, we've had referrals, and we've also been able to collaborate with companies there's a company that provides psychological services to different for different types of folks. They do, whether it be somebody with a disability or a mental disability, developmental, cognitive, whatever it might be. And they were, that's what they do. That's not what we do. So we can refer people. We have a chiropractic office that's, we refer back and forth because of different physical needs, or, we both see value in each other. And if we vetted them and feel that it's a valuable research source, I want to refer everybody I want to be able to give resources to people. We have in-house a speech company now, and it's been great because a lot of her clients are our clients, so we can refer back and forth. We also have a swim company that's close by, and they have almost the exact same story as I did, opened at the same time. And it's been great because we can work in the community, refer to other small businesses, help our clients, help the businesses. And it's been really, really helpful for everybody.
Wow. That's definitely amazing. That's definitely amazing. Now, this is probably the biggest question. How has this business and this journey changed your life?
Oh, wow. It's probably made me a little crazier. It's opened my world to so many different things that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to be involved in, or I've been able to meet people that I wouldn't have necessarily met. It's kind of funny because even though my son has autism, autism was that's what I learned because that's what I was handed. I didn't have a choice. With my son, and then through the business, we were able to we had a couple people come in, and I don't remember, I was trying to remember this the other day. I don't remember how we were connected, but through there's a company called the Down Syndrome Family Resource Center, and they found us, and that has been a huge partnership. And so now, not only did I know about autism, now I've had the opportunity to learn more about Down syndrome, and it's been great because I feel fortunate that now I'm going to get emotional, and I'm not usually an emotional person, so I'm sorry, but I have the opportunity to know so many amazing people that I would not have had the opportunity to know. And even these kids, it's funny because they have these shows now about relationships and adults with disabilities. And I get to see it now firsthand because we have couples that come in and work out together, and I get to see their journey and the struggles that they have, as well as the struggles that the families have. And I wouldn't have had that opportunity had I not started this company. So there's no, if I'm having a bad day, I just go back and spend time in one of the classes, because some of the things they say or do, you're like, oh my, they're amazing. I mean, they
Yeah.
just put a smile on your face, because you talk about creative, it's a whole nother level of thinking. And it makes my heart smile, because some of these, they're just, they're amazing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. You said something earlier about your daughter, and so it makes me ask you a question: how has your family changed or grown since you guys went into the business? Because you said that your daughter, and I have my kids are 5 years apart, and so I can see my daughter saying, "I don't want to be bothered with nothing that her little brother's doing," but then later on, saying, "Okay, that's my little brother. Let me get involved in it." So what was this shift in your family? How did it change from then to now, since you guys stepped out on faith and started the business?
It was with my child, when he was young, he always had services, and a lot of times you have people that come into your home and work with them, and they become you get close to them because they're always at your house. So we've had a lot of additional family members, not by blood, but through him and his disability. So we've been very fortunate that way. But then with the business, I have employees now who believe the values I believe, or I
Wow.
have, or they believe in those values. And you realize that they're special, and they become special to you and to me and to my husband. And so our employees have become like family to us.
Yeah.
But as a parent with a child with a disability, my son is considered nonverbal. He can talk sometimes, but he won't have a full conversation with you. And it makes things hard. And with you always wonder what's going to happen. The world is designed for him to outlive me.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens? There's no way to live forever, and I will go one day. What happens when my husband and I leave this earth and he's still here? Who's going to take care of him? And that's a huge concern. And I don't know any parent who doesn't think about that. And now my daughter, seeing her come into the business, and I know she's grown up with it and she understands him, but you just wonder, will she want to step up and take care of him? You don't always know. You think
Yeah.
it's going to happen, but you don't always know. But now seeing her and how she is with him and how she is with everybody, it's changed my life, because I realize he's going to be okay. They're going to be okay,
Yeah.
when I do get to that age where I go. And so that's really changed it's taken some of the worry off of my mind, because I know that it'll be okay. And she's going to have support as well, because of all these people that we have in our business. If there were something that were to you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. And if
Yeah.
something were to happen, I know now that they're going to be okay.
Yeah. I love it. That's just phenomenal. This is the question we usually close with, and we talk about the show S.T.A.R.V.E. Stand Tall and Reclaim Victory Every Day is our acronym. So what I ask you is, what does that acronym mean to you? Stand tall and reclaim victory every day.
It's what, it kind of stands right in line with what we do. I don't know about you when you were in school, but people with disabilities weren't included like they are now.
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about how kids learn from other people, and now the community is a lot more inclusive. But that's what we did. We stood up and started something that hasn't, for the most part, been done before.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of it. There isn't a day that I go by that I think, our logo, it makes me happy that now it means something.
Yeah.
People can say, okay, that, we're not, people with disabilities aren't outcasts anymore. They're not strange. They're in our place. It's normal. It's what everybody, it's okay. It's not something that should be looked at differently. It's, we're just like everybody else, and we all have a purpose, and we're all great people. And so, it's just standing up to what you believe in and making it the best you can make it.
Yeah.
So, we've never hidden our son. We've always taken him with us everywhere we go. And I believe that you should. I don't think anybody should be hidden just because
Yeah.
they're not like you expect them to be. And that's how I would see it.
No, I mean, it says a lot about you guys, and definitely a lot about what you guys are doing. Because again, just as humans, like you say, you're not hiding your child. You're going out there. People have to see you the way you are, and because this is the family. But then to be willing to take on other individuals exactly the way they are, meet them where they are, and provide a service that actually helps transform families like yours have been transformed in this time frame, because you guys have to be closer because you guys have done this. It has to be a growth there, that you didn't expect. It was just, hey, how can I provide a service? And that's the beauty of real entrepreneurship, because what everybody think it is, it's never going to be that. So
no,
it's
not. Yeah,
it's never that. Me coaching businesses, everybody give me their straight line to their $1 million. And I asked them kindly to rip it up, because I don't see any squiggly lines in there. And in order for it to be a real situation, it has to be squiggly lines. Sometimes there's some false starts in there. It looks like a stock chart, that hasn't figured out which way it's going to go yet, right? So that's real business, but also that's real life. And if your business and your decision and all of these things are not, consistent with what's going on in real life, you probably don't have a business, and you're probably not doing something that's going to last, because it's not, able to withstand what life brings. You just say you had this beautiful idea, and then a week beforehand, it's like, okay, you got to stay in the house. And you could have been scared, to not go outside regardless of what. You're like, hey, okay, we're still going to go to this building, and we're still going to do what we need to do, and we're going to work together. So that's why only certain people can actually do this, because and you've been handpicked for this. Like you said, this wasn't what you thought it was going to be, but it's you, and it's your family. And I think it's phenomenal.
Thank you, Jay.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This has been amazing. I really appreciate this opportunity.
No problem. I want you to say all the information, like your social media platforms, your website, whatever you want to give us about your company, how people can find you guys.
Yeah, so it's the Adaptive Athlete Inc. We're in Upland, California, located at 2028 West 11th Street. Our website is www.theadaptiveathlete.com. Our social media is Instagram at theadaptiveathlete.com, and Facebook is theadaptiveathlete.com as well. Everything's linked. If you want to email us, the only difference with our email, there's no it's just adaptiveathlete@icloud.com, but all that is on our website. We do gymnastics, fitness, we have ninja classes, we have an independent living skills program. And the one big thing is we serve ages 6 months to adult. I think our oldest client was 94 years old.
Wow.
And we do something for everybody. So just because we do stuff with people with disabilities doesn't mean we don't do stuff with people who don't have disabilities. So we have classes for everyone.
Love it. Love it. Love it. You guys, if you're watching this, you'll see everything come up on the screen, all this information. So make sure you definitely tap in. And if you're in that area, and we're going to speak it in existence, because once she starts to have our franchises in different parts of the country, you guys can do this and make it happen. If you're in that area, and this is like in between the San Bernardino, LA County area, correct?
Yes.
Yep. So if you're in that area, make sure you go ahead and you need those services, tap in, or just go and support, get the staff lunch, you know, because they're working
We
hard.
always love that.
Yes, get the staff some lunch. They're always working hard. So make sure you support what they're doing. You guys know who I am and know where to find me. IWon'tStarve.com. Go to this YouTube page at S.T.A.R.V.E Talk. I am Jay Halim on all my social media platforms. And again, this has been a phenomenal episode of S.T.A.R.V.E Talk. As I always tell you guys, I am biased because I won't put nobody on here that you guys won't want to listen to. But for the next time, see you guys the next time and in the next video.
I'm in the studio with Jay Halim.
I'm in the studio with Jay Halim.
I am in the studio with Jay Halim.
I am in the studio with Jay Halim. I'm in the studio with Jay Halim.
You are now in the studio with Jay Halim.
Recording stopped.